CYREBRO, 100% agnostic, technology agnostic SOC. I'll explain what that means and why we made it a point to be so. A lot of the SOCs around the world either started off as being a specific vendor-oriented SOC. So mostly, unless you bought a certain product or a certain suite of products, you couldn't get that SOC. It's a vendor-based. If you buy security systems from hardware, you can get a hardware SOC. You can't approach them and say, hey, I just want you to look at all the systems I have from 12 different vendors. It doesn't work. And then a certain skill set was established in those SOCs, even though after 6 or 7 years they said, you know what, we'll look at whatever you have, but now here's a SOC that's been looking at one SIM for 7 or 8 years. And one of the biggest gaps we believed needed to be closed, and when we started CYREBRO, was that the SOC needs to be 110% agnostic. It shouldn't matter which kind of SIM you use, which kind of antivirus you use, what kind of firewalls you have, what web proxy, it doesn't matter. It's like saying we're going to get the world's best fighter jet pilots. You tell us which jets you have, we'll make sure that we're well trained on them. But the experience we bring and the sort of fighting experience that we bring, the field experience that we bring, and the skill set, that's what it's all about, and not about whether you use tool X or tool Y. And that creates 3 things. A, it releases the dependency our clients have on technology. So if we're working with a client and he says, you know what, my SIM doesn't work for me anymore. I've grown and I don't think it's good, or you know what, I'm looking into changing, what do you think? We can give 100% an objective opinion, because it doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to keep you with a certain vendor because I represent that. If I think a certain SIM isn't good for you anymore, I'll just tell you. And if you're looking at buying one, I can give you my honest to God opinion. It doesn't matter to me. Number 2, there's advantages and disadvantages with every technology. And not just the SIM, but everything around it. I think we have the ability that's very unique to say, look, I think you should do A, B, or C. And you can be 100% sure that my opinion is not because I'm peddling a tool. It sounds basic, actually very, very rare. We don't resell anything. Even if a client comes to me and says, look, could you help me choose a system? Happy to do it. Happy to walk you through it. But I don't resell it. And then that's the only way that you can be 100% sure that my professional opinion is clean. I'm sure that Cisco or an IBM or an HP, they're professional. But it's difficult to ask someone who works for a company to recommend a tool from a different company when his company is selling it. It's just that'll always be there. We wanted to clean it. The end, and I think one of the most important things, is a lot of organizations have bought technology for reasons that have changed or that are changing. You need to have the person or persons that manage that core security system fully objective to be the guys pushing to you. Not agreeing that you push down to them, but coming up, being the guys that you trust, that if a flag needs to be raised, they can come up to you and say, hey, this isn't for you anymore. The volume doesn't work for this SIM. And you don't have anything in the back of your head saying, are they pushing something? Or do they want me to move away from something? No. Truly professionally objective, saying, look, you become PCI, you want to be PCI compliant, there are better tools for it that have inherent solutions in it. You know what, we worked on-premise, it's time you moved on the cloud because A, B, and C. Being able to not just execute the work, but actually be the guys responsible for keeping it constantly the best there is, means that I'm vendor-free. Because what's best there is now isn't necessarily what it'll be in 2-3 years. I'm not saying you should change technology every 2 years, but you should know that there's better solutions that are more suited for you, and you should have all information from the guys managing your SOC. To have that amount of skill set, to be able to manage a room that has 9 different SIMs in it, is very difficult. You really have to have the top edge guys. We have in our SOC, CYREBRO manages QRadar and ArcSight and Logarithm and Alien Vault and really all the Magic Quadrant plus 6 or 7 that are not there. And we get to see a very unique picture. We really, really know the advantages and disadvantages to the nut and bolt level of every one of those. So when we give an opinion, it's based on, scars we have on our hands from working years with all those. I think it's a rare ability to give someone that. Yes, so one of our solutions called CYREBRO Core is designed specifically to come into an existing scenario and be able to do what we call utilization. We don't need to have our clients rebuy anything or add anything on it. We can approach a client that says, look, I've just finished an investment, or this is what I have. This is the budget I have. These are the tools that I have, whether it's just because he just bought one or because that's just what he inherited. But having the ability to come into an existing environment and say, okay, let's take what you have and make the best out of it, but not as a metaphorical word, literally make the best out of it. Utilize it to its full potential. You have to be 100% agnostic. Otherwise, how can you come into an environment that has a mixture of technologies and not automatically say, you know what you need? You need to buy A, B, C, and D. Then, if you didn't do it, then I don't take responsibility for so-and-so. Being able to come into an existing environment and say, okay, even if there are elements missing, and sometimes there are, we say, okay, these are the cards we were dealt. We'll make absolutely the best we can out of it. Obviously, there's always professional recommendations to say, look, if you need to approach data leakage, you need a DLP system. But even if you don't have, and this is an issue for you and you can't afford it, we'll help you do the best you can. And if you have a SIM that you bought 3 years ago, but you can't change it right now, and it's not exactly up to par for what you need, we'll show you how to get the absolute most out of it. Of your firewall, your detection systems, your antiviruses, your proxies, everything. How to get from where you are 2-3 steps up without any further investment. I think that's very, very unique from a business perspective. One of our beliefs is that we can bring Fortune 500 skills and Fortune 500 defense capabilities to almost any company, small, medium, large. And we believe that because of 2 reasons. First of all, in essence, we believe that the capability it begins and ends with a skill set. Yes, is the rifle I'm shooting important? Sure, but either you're a good sniper or you're not. Now, yes, tools are important, but it's about skill and it's about experience. And when you look at Fortune 500 companies and the technology that they brought or bought and the end result that they get, and you ask yourself, why do small, medium businesses have almost zero cyber security? Because they can't afford it. Because if you want to buy the leading, endpoint detection or whatnot, they're not selling for less than 5,000 machines. They don't. So what does a company that has 600 machines do? Or 1,000 machines? Today, mostly in the market, nothing. And this, I think, is the biggest issue in the market, and I'll give you a small statistic about it that I've double and triple checked. 65% of SMBs that were hit by a cyber attack in 2015 closed before the end of the year. It shut them down. They can't bounce back from it. And a small, medium business doesn't have the resilience to withstand a cyber attack. It's the end of the business for them. So we've targeted these clients as the ones who most need our service. If we can offer them this Fortune 500 grade security, but at a price that they can accept or live with, it's cost effective for them, then we're providing them the most necessary service. How do we do it? It's very simple. I'm not telling you that I will provide you with security like Fortune 500 companies do. I'm telling you I'm providing you with the same guys who do it for Fortune 500 companies. We do it for Fortune 500 companies. The exact same people who designed 20 Fortune 500 companies monitoring strategy, who operate it and manage it, will be doing it for you. There's no big SOC, small SOC. There's no Fortune 500 CYREBRO, small CYREBRO. The exact same guys with the exact same experience, with the exact same skill set, will be looking at your environment and taking care of you as we do for a company with 40,000 employees. Now, obviously, we do different things with different budgets, but the skill set is the exact same skill set, not like, but exact same people, exact same skill set. The strategy, the experience, exactly the same. And inherently, we've tested it again and again and again and again. It can take, just by using the tools that you have better, you can take a company from 3 to 8. Granted, 9 or 10 is probably off the table, but that's fine. Every company does a risk management, risk analysis when they build security. It's imperative.